it's Bevan. Welcome to my vlog, and I want to just preface this by showing you where I'm at. I'm in the bright spot in the woods. I think I've filmed here before. This is where every day on my walk in nature, I think to myself, what was my bright spot for today? And today, my bright spot was connecting with one of my neighbors, and she shared with me about a woman she met. She's working for Olympic Pride, which is our local pride organization here on the Olympic Peninsula in beautiful Washington State. And they're putting together a pride, I don't remember what they called it, pride stroll. It's not a parade. It's definitely like something about being on a sidewalk. Bring a chair, wear sunscreen. There's a heat warning. So I got some lesbian warnings. And an invitation to a Pride Festival, which she was sharing with me that they've been tabling in support of this upcoming Pride Festival at the farmer's market. And a woman came up to her and was like sharing about how she grew up in this strictly religious background and didn't know how to like even seek out the support that she needed in the world to help her understand who she is. Right? I don't even know that she had that articulation, but that was the story I heard. It was just really moving that like she gave her, like she just did, my friend Thea just did a little quick Google search and gave her a resource and emailed it to her, and she wrote her back and was just so grateful. But that's the work of like volunteering and showing up and like creating community. Community means you keep showing up. I'm really exceptionally proud to be friends with people who are doers in the world, who like to change the world, who like to go out and create things and make the world better. Everyone needs people who are doing their thing on purpose. I'm thinking specifically of Free 99 Fridge, a mutual aid project that began in COVID times in Atlanta, Georgia. Look them up on Instagram. I'll put a link to them below. It's Free 99 Fridge, and they have all these different fridges where people are being fed, like have been fed this whole pandemic. There's a lot of weird government stuff that gets in the way of mutual aid, of people just helping each other in a way that we really needed. That our minimum wage should be $15. The fact that it hasn't changed since 2009, but Jeff Bezos got $88 billion richer during the pandemic is a problem, an American problem. He doesn't even pay taxes, an American problem. If like we could solve most of the world's issues if we took just 20% of the wealth of the 5 richest billionaires that exist on planet Earth. So we just took away 20% of their wealth. They still are billionaires. And we could solve world hunger, water, education, climate crisis. All of these things could be solved if we actually had adequate wealth distribution in this world. It's nothing major. It's just asking for people to be really compensated for their time and not letting people get wealthy on wage theft. Rant over. Isn't it great how people can help out one another? One of the things that helps me get through this life, like where there, like basically everywhere I turn, there's something I could be outraged at, right? Like it's 2021, United States of America. But I do a lot of things to help me stay on my path and doing the thing I'm meant to be doing. And one of those things is using cannabis as a medicinal and spiritual tool to help me stay connected to my source, to help me with my endocannabinoid system. There's like a ton of health benefits. And it also really is a mood booster for me. I like a sativa, like a light and bright citrusy strain. And part of using cannabis for healing is coming out about it, because I didn't talk about it for years. I was like, I would say I was very open on the internet about being a lot of things, but I did not talk about my cannabis use for a few years. I started when I was 34. I think maybe when I started talking about it was like 37, 38. My first Glowing Goddess Getaway when I was 39 years old was the moment I was like, okay, there's no going back. I am truly out about using cannabis as a medicinal and spiritual tool. And I think most cannabis use is medicinal, if I'm being honest. But the Glowing Goddess Getaway, the first time I went, I really didn't understand what I was doing. I knew I was going to a women's cannabis self-care retreat, and I was teaching my Canasize aerobics class. That's how much I knew. I knew I was staying there and I was getting a bed, and I didn't know how that was happening. But I followed the instructions of what to bring. I also brought a lot of snacks because I didn't trust that they were going to adequately feed me, but I didn't need any of them because I was in fact adequately fed. There were so many snacks of all different dietary things, right? And this was in Coachella in October of 2018. So that's my GGG class. Every time we talk at the Getaways, now we talk about like which one was our first, and like I feel like we each have a class. I'm lucky that I got to teach at a bunch in 2019. I went to like 4 out of 6, I think. And gosh, I was like living from Getaway to Getaway. That was such a hard year, and it was so nice to know that I was going to go to a place where we practice radical belonging and connecting and healing and growth. And there are sound baths, movement classes, yoga classes, puff and paint, all sorts of people to meet. The one I went to was at a horse farm in Coachella, so we could go hang out with horses. This is a real thing. There's a pool. There's always a pool. And we could float or sit in a hot tub. And it was like, I couldn't believe it existed. That whole first day, I was like, I can't believe this is my job. I teach my class. I'm like very high. It was the first time I ever taught Fat Kid Dance Party actually stoned. I like to wait until I'm done teaching. I like to be really present. And I use cannabis as a recipient of movement, but as a teacher of movement, I kind of prefer to be, unless I really need it in my body, I just prefer to be sober. It's easier for me to access and also problem solve, because there have been times where like my music has stopped. There's always a thing that goes on in a live aerobics class. Anyway, Glowing Goddess Getaway blew my mind. I didn't know it was possible. I felt so connected immediately to Deidre and Saline, the co-founders. And I couldn't believe this existed. And so, and they were just so loving. Everyone was just so loving. And the cannabis really did create this like social connection with everybody. And you didn't have to be using cannabis to experience it. Like, it's just everyone kind of glowed up and happy and content. And like, especially a lot of women are caregivers and like do some level of caregiving for another human pretty much all the time, or a fur baby. So when you're away from that and you just get to kind of be and like be taken care of and like everything is handled, it is so nice to just get into that full relaxation. And it's really good connected socializing. And I feel like it's a potent place to learn from. So 2019, got to go to all these GGGs, so much fun. And then 2020 happened, and I was planning, I like basically was really excited to maybe reunite with my friends like around the country as we were touring to lots of recreational states in 2020. This was the plan. It's not what happened. It's the plan. And I was trying to figure out like how to have a vehicle with my cat in it so that he could come with me. And then we found out about the coronavirus pandemic. I don't know if you've heard of it, but suddenly everything was canceled, including that whole tour of the Glowing Goddess Getaway. I find myself again preparing for a Glowing Goddess Getaway tour, pandemic safe, COVID safe. Just there's a Northern California in August. It's like the weekend of August 15th, I think. Southern California is like, I think it's the 19th of September is in that weekend maybe. And then the same location in Southern California, both Joshua Tree, is a relationship retreat. We used to call it a couples retreat. Now it's relationship retreat because we really want it to be for besties too. So besties and couples can come. It's a mixed gender situation, whereas a typical getaway is people who identify as sisters or goddesses. And it's an inclusive is one of the 5 high standards. So here's a great way to connect and see if this is a group of people you want to have a weekend with. We have a free virtual getaway. We just did it this weekend. We filmed it. It's on the Facebook. Until it gets zucked, which things can get zucked when you use cannabis on screen. Until it gets zucked, it's up for free. There's a Friday session. I would encourage you to actually give this a shot. Give it a weekend. Set up your like Friday afternoon, Friday evening. There's a session for Friday afternoon, a session for Friday evening. There's a Saturday morning, afternoon, and evening session. And then there's a Sunday morning session. So find a group of days and really give yourself a reset with this, because here are what the classes are on this Facebook Live. It's amazing. We've got an opening with Deidre on Friday. So imagine you're like arriving at this getaway in some like impossibly beautiful location. In Colorado, we had like a 180-degree view of Rocky Mountains covered in beautiful snow in the middle of June. Just tremendous. So beautiful. So you're like arriving, you're getting your tent set up. If you're tent camping, if there's some kind of lodging situation, you're getting that. If you have an RV, you're, I don't know, just turning it off. Whatever you're doing to prepare, you're arrived, you're smoking weed, and then your opening session, 2 p.m., Deidre comes in preaching a sermon about COVID. Your COVID sensitivity, the sensitivity that has arisen from you during the pandemic, protect it, guard it, don't just give it away, don't just harden for the world again. That was the core message, and it was beautiful and mind-blowing. And then we go into 2:30, which is a smoke and stretch with one of my very favorite yoga teachers. This is true. Sasha loves to giggle on Instagram. So good. I talk about her all the time. She's my favorite kind of teacher because she's really in the work of learning and trying to be their best self. Sasha uses she, they pronouns, so I try to mix it up. And anyway, so Sasha's great. It was a really good, beautiful moment, which, by the way, shout out to the double thick yoga mat that I got, that the Easter Bunny left on my doorstep. Thanks, Mom. It is amazing. Doing yoga on that thing is like doing yoga on a cloud. Next level. Highly recommend for anybody who has tender knees, tender joints, and or just likes to be more comfy. So was using that mat, enjoyed that stretch. And then at 3 o'clock, Yvonne is talking to us about travel and cannabis. And especially if you're a person who travels solo, a lot of good safety tips. I know a lot of this stuff, but it's really good to be refreshed because I have not been anywhere since January of 2020. So it's like, what is it, June 2021 now? It's been a year and a half. This is the longest I've gone without traveling in like many years, if ever, because we moved a lot. I moved 13 times by the time I was 13 years old. So like I never had child stability in one place in one bed. And so like, I think this is the longest stretch I'm going in one bed in one place. Like I haven't gone anywhere. Anyway, so we're preparing for the road. Yvonne has road trip tips. And then I'm teaching Canasize, my Canasize aerobics class. I can't use the music I typically use because of the copyright robots that like shut down Facebook Live. So I used a lot of indie stuff, but it was really, I thought, a great showing of Canasize. It's 20 minutes, nothing major, very easy sort of healing situation, which like I think paired with the smoke and stretch with Sasha was like very nice on my body. So that's, you know, your retreat. You get to do what you want to do. And also you can just cheer along. You don't have to even do my class, but it's fun. You're going to want to dance. It's fun. We did Billy Porter's Love Yourself, and everyone's screaming revolution while you're clapping your hands. It's real fun. And I used a fun background with my Grateful banner. It's I'll put a link to it down here, but it's a collab I did with Harding Supply Co., a queer family owned banner making company, and they make other festive things too. They're doing coasters now. But basically I commissioned a banner that said grateful, and it's in like this kind of tie-dye looking watercolor pastel. And then the Grateful Dead bears in pastel hanging on a banner. It is so delightful. It has really made my pride. My Zoom background has never looked better. I'm so grateful. And so what I did was, because I was teaching my class outside, because I can't really jump up and down in my trailer. It's really hard. It's wobbly. The trailer's not wobbly, but jumping up and down is not good for it. So I do it outside. I have a foam dance floor in my front yard. I teach aerobics online. That's what I do. So I took a picture of my background, which is behind my couch, and I put it on my Zoom. And so I'm dancing, and I look like an Oompa Loompa dancing on my couch. You have to see it to believe it, and you can only see it on the Facebook Live for the Glowing Goddess Getaway. It would be the 18th of June, 2021. You're going to look for the 2 p.m. Video. It'll be up there because that's the time zone it was in. And then the next session. So then, oh my God. So the 4 p.m. session. So right after mine, we sit down and we do a smoke and sesh, like basically a bunch of different goddess guides. And goddess guides are anyone who teach at the Glowing Goddess Getaway, and we like hold space for like the culture and help our goddesses have a glowed up experience. So I also, now that I went once and I had the full goddess experience other than teaching my class. And then ever since, I'm like working the dab bar. I'm doing a lot of things while I'm there. So I also have a shift, in addition to teaching my class, I also do a shift at the Glow Bar, which is where you can go at any point during an in-person getaway and get your cannabis. We have joints. We have a dab rig. So you can come over and I'll facilitate. So you could just get a dab facilitated and just take the medicine. And a dab is basically, they take the cannabis plant, they turn it into sugar through their magical processes. And then a dab is like, you heat it up to about, you set a temperature. I prefer to give people a low temp, 390, because then you can really taste the terpene profile in the cannabis dab stuff. It's like shatter, or it's whatever Deidre brings. It's like, she'll have this like giant pizza box of like this thing. And we'll have like 2 or 3 kinds. And then by the end of the weekend, I'm doing like a special mix for people. It's fun, but I like to facilitate a dab so people are dreaming while they're dabbing. And I did that. I did a little dab moment. And we just had, this was like spontaneous because we were talking about inner child healing. This 4 p.m. sesh was everything you need to know about the Glowing Goddess Getaway. So if you're like, I'm not sure if this is the crew for me, tune into that 4 p.m. session, you can figure out your technology. You go into that 2 p.m. Friday, 6/18/21 video. Fast forward to 4 p.m. You don't even have to stay for Canasize. That's how much I love you. Go right to that 4 p.m. session. That is where you're going to hear about our 5 high standards from lots of different leaders in the community. And there's so much healing we talk about. It is a really great encapsulation of who we are in an energetic way. By the end of that first session, that first afternoon, I felt like I was already back at a getaway. I felt like we were all back together, even though it's different to be on Zoom with like 12 of us versus being in person with like 200 of us. 200 is the ideal, I think, number for a getaway. And we've gotten almost there, I think, once. But usually they're between, the COVID ones are going to be 50 or under. So it's going to be really low numbers, more like a group camp out. But I love that. That's where you get a chance to really actually know everybody. So I'm excited. I love this energy. I love this crew. You can stick around the next day. Saturday, we did like a puff and paint. We did a really fun soak and sesh where everyone was in a body of water. I went up to the pool in my community. It's heated. I mean, it's the Pacific Northwest. I'm wearing a puffy vest. It's June. Like, we're about to have a heat wave. So say all the queers for the weekend Olympic Pride thing. So I hope that you give that a shot. The Glowing Goddess Getaway is an amazing group of people. I was craving a multi-generational sisterhood and one literally found me. So I'm so grateful to be part of that community. And I mean it in a sincere way. Like, I really see us going the distance and like being a thing you can keep returning to so that you can return to yourself. Because what we do is we glow women up and then we send them back out into their lives, glowed up, and like more connected to the honesty and the truth of themselves. And I have seen so much growth in the people I know from this getaway. And I say people because there's lots of people from lots of different genders. I also went to the couples retreat. So there was a relationship retreat. That's what we're calling it now. I went with my best friend. My ex and I had broken up. When I got the gig to teach at the couples retreat, my ex and I were together. We had a fight actually about about what we would do for our workshop. True story. And then we broke up. And then I was like, can I still teach? Can I bring my best friend? And so Rachel flew from Atlanta to the getaway. And we went to, it was in Joshua Tree. It was extraordinary. It was so beautiful and life-changing. And so I know a lot of people of a lot of different genders from this amazing group of people. I'm glad I get to call them my friends, call them my Canna sisters for life and Canna siblings for life. And I love you so much. Thanks for tuning into this. I hope you'll give it a shot. I'm going to put a link to things below. And also, I burned myself on some porridge last week right above my abundance tattoo, and it made a heart. I don't know if you can still tell that it's a heart. It looks kind of gross now. It's really healing. I've been putting CBD cream on it every day to help with the healing. Not right after it. Right after it with the burn, you run it under cold water. Not icy cold, tepid cold for 20 minutes. And I really did that, and it's still nasty. So I can't imagine how bad it would have been. It hurt a lot. It was like sticky porridge just glommed onto my hand and like was boiling my hand. It was not great. Still ate the porridge, not the part that burned me, but the other one. It's delicious. Anyway, love you. Bye, everybody.